Continuing on with the Jerry Lewis at Columbia set from Imprint, number 103 is Hook, Line and Sinker. I hadn't seen this one before, a little bit dubious going into it. This 1969 one was from the sort of later of Jerry Lewis's career, when he was kind of losing his lustre, I'd say, a little bit, and this one had a kind of story that made me go, I don't know how this is going to play out. The basic story here is Jerry Lewis plays a man, Gerald, who is told that he is terminally ill.
Pete, that's the way these things happen. 1 minute you're fine, and the next...
He is going to die pretty soon. And when he goes home and tells his wife, she's distraught. But luckily, there is a 150,000 insurance policy on his life. And she encourages him to live out his last few days doing everything that he would want to do. Going to fine dining, going fishing, which really is his passion, and just getting away from it all, which he really does. He just delves into that world, spending a fortune, living like a king, doing fishing across the Caribbean, and just enjoying his life, or what's left of it. And it's just kind of fun watching this character do all that. But again, there's a conceit to this. He is on an operating table. He is telling his story to a Portuguese surgeon and a group of people who are listening to what is going on. They're all paying attention to this story, and they want to know exactly what's happening as he's recounting it. And he tells the tale wonderfully. And you get lots of funny situations and pratfalls as Jerry Lewis does what only he can do in some certain scenes. But what really got me was a lot of the story in this one. A lot of them are just, a quick setup and they let it play out. But there is interesting conceits here. The doctor that tells him everything that's going wrong is one of his best friends. And when Gerald is living the high life and he's enjoying his last few weeks of life, his friend tracks him down on the Mediterranean, turns up and tells him, look, there's been a mistake. You're not actually dying. And then comes the realisation that he has over £100,000 worth of debt, has been living the high life, and there's absolutely no way in which he could possibly pay this back. So it layers problem upon problem upon problem, and there are other twists and turns to come after that, which I won't get to, some of which I guessed it was coming, but actually adding a little bit of mystery, a little bit of problematic material and weight to the story really added a lot to this one.
$100,000. Who's counting? Not me. You said I was dying. I wouldn't have to pay.
Whereas The Big Mouth was just situational comedy, it felt like, and a grand story that was robbed of its power because of some of the narration and the silliness that was going on. This one really feels as if it had more to it. We have a man unbridled, allowed to just live his life in any way that he sees fit, because it could be robbed from him at any moment. But there is weight to it. There is things that transpire later on that really just kind of take all that away from him and put him in a downward spiral, which I really kind of liked. Of course, it ends up on a really silly note that it just didn't need, because it was so much fun up until that point. I do like these Jerry Lewis at Columbia movies. They are incredibly easy to watch. The kind of things that you can just imagine lying on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, chilling out, watching these kind of silly comedic movies and having a great deal of fun watching them. They're bright and colourful. Jerry Lewis gives some wonderful slapsticky humour. He always has a chance of throwing on crazy makeup at certain points and becoming really larger than life silly characters, which he does again in this one. But Hook, Line and Sinker for me was my favourite of the two of these titles, pretty much because it had more of a concise story to it. I'd love to know your thoughts on Hook, Line and Sinker and this Jerry Lewis at Columbia set, if you managed to pick it up. Of course, let me know what your favourite Jerry Lewis move is as well, if you happen to have one. There is more content up here if you want to see more of my reviews, and there's a like button down there. If you want to click that, all kinds of magic happens. And of course, there's the Patreon and the membership program if you really want to support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.